It is September the 2nd, 2024. It is Labor Day, but we are here to talk about what happened on August the 31st. The Vols did what they had to do, my friends. They beat that ass. They did what they had to do. They did what good teams do. They don't mess around. They go out there, take care of business, and move on to the next one. 69-3 over UT Chattanooga. Nico was 22 for 28 for 314 yards and 3 touchdowns just in the first half. In 6 quarters, Nico and the Vols have outscored their opponents 80-0. Nico is responsible for 80-0. He's played a top defense in Iowa. Not a great team in UT Chat, but that doesn't matter because we're here to talk about what happened on the field. And my goodness, did that dude look good? Did that Nico? He was so calm and so just relaxed. He knew the offense. He ran the offense to perfection. And boy, I am excited because I think we have a stud at quarterback. But what's going on, guys? What's going on, DR? What's going on, Austin? How we doing?
Good. We're enjoying a paid day off.
Mm-hmm. We are. Austin, how you doing, man?
Couldn't be better. Football's back on my TV nearly every night, and my quarterback looks like the greatest player in the history of time. So doing pretty good.
Yeah, and that's dude, just the overall aspect of this the entire week. The last 2 weeks of college football have been just the opening has been amazing. Like the games have been fun. Like even last night, USC versus USC LSU, sorry, I said Notre Dame. That game was awesome.
Yep.
The LSU A&M game, Notre Dame A&M game was awesome as well. And it's just been a great week of football, man. It's been fun. And I'm so glad it's back, man. I'm so happy.
Well, and you're hopeful too, to bring it back to Tennessee. You're hopeful because what you saw on the field on Saturday. And I keep seeing from opposing fan bases, and I get it. I'd say it too if Florida went out and won 32-2 against Martin or whatever. But I know it's Chattanooga, but it was the throws that our quarterback was making. Because last year, the quarterback we had wasn't making those throws against Austin Peay. Yeah. You kind of knew what you had back then. You knew you're kind of like, oh God, we're kind of screwed.
Well, it's nice to see a quarterback that after one drive still knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah.
Because the quarterback last year, he was amazing on the scripted drive. But once that ended, our offense ended. We didn't have much offense. But, man, I think this year's offense, Nico putting up 314 yards and 3 touchdowns in a half. I don't care who you're playing. That's hard to do. Austin and myself were talking about this yesterday. That's hard to do, when you're throwing in air. There's no bodies, no defense out there. That's hard to do with no one. It's the accuracy, the touch, the golly. He's so smooth. He's so smooth.
Flat out, I think we are seeing a return of the 2022 offense, or maybe better. I'm not kidding you. This might be better than that offense. And that offense led the country in points per game. That country led the country in tempo. I don't know. It was just me. I haven't seen the numbers exactly for this yet, but to me, it looked like the tempo went faster. I felt like I'd never seen offense. Our offensive linemen were literally just flying on the field. They were so out of breath, but it was the fastest offense I've ever seen this run. And it's so clear to me that Nico is the quarterback born to play this system for Josh Heupel. He is so perfect for it in every single way, shape, and form. He sees the field better. It is literally like Josh Heupel on the field in his brain. There's no delay. Everything just flows so great. He's calm. He's so calm in the pocket, and it's just and his targets. Ethan Davis looks like the best tight end we maybe had since Jason Witten.
Oh God,
yes. Look at the receivers, man. Brazil, Dante Thornton looks like a whole new man in his new position. Squirrel looks great. Brew, oh my God, he got lean. and he looks like a whole new player. I think we might see a crazy season from Brew. It's just an embarrassment of riches.
And what's crazy about that? You're mentioning all these players and how they look. When you're at the game, like previous years, you're at the game, you look down on the field, you see our players, and they just look like a football team. You look down there now, and they're huge.
Yeah.
I mean, these dudes are big. Like they have not been like this in the previous years under previous coaching regimes. Like these players are massive. Like, and it's just a whole time. They're grown men, and we haven't had that, like you just said, Austin, in a long time. And it's just, man, watching them dudes out there, they're just they were so much bigger. And I get it, it's an FCS school and UT Chat, but they haven't always looked that big against those opponents. They looked way larger, way bigger, way stronger. There was a play. I don't know if you guys remember this. You're watching the game. It was on a penalty, actually. I think it was UT Chat had like a false start. But our defensive lineman kept kind of going until the flag was thrown, and he just like launched the guy back into the quarterback. And he just kind of looked down and like shook his head, like you're done. Like this is already over. And that was like early in the first quarter.
Well, I mean, you're talking about Brew McCoy, man. The only thing going to stop him this year that's not injury related is if he fails for anabolic steroids. That dude's massive. Mm-hmm. Like he's built like a NFL tight end. It looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about seeing the field, Austin. It's that was one of the biggest complaints about Milton was he would not throw down the middle of the field. Nico on Saturday, he was 10 for 10 middle of the field.
Yep,
because we wouldn't let him.
Yeah,
because he couldn't do it.
He couldn't do
it. He was throwing interceptions, and we eventually just told him, we're just going to take it out of the playbook. And it's so nice to have it back. And I'm one of Milton's biggest critics, but it wasn't just him being not that great wasn't the only reason why we were limited on offense last year. The receiver core, it is night and day different from last year, even though there's a lot of the same dudes back. Brew's back healthy. Dante is back healthy and actually can play his normal position. Squirrel looks like he's even better. And you got Brazil, which might be the single best receiver on this team. And then Ethan Davis is healthy and looks unbelievable. It's so freaking good. This team on offense. I don't know if anyone can keep this team. Maybe Georgia. Georgia might be the only team that can keep this team under 35 points in Neyland Stadium, which they won't even play us there. But it's going to be a hell of an offense, man. And the defense, obviously, in a game like this, you don't really get to see much. You're going to win by a lot regardless. The talent level is so much different. Even though UTC is one of the best teams in the FCS, they're going to compete for a national title at that level. But I want to see our secondary tested next week. That's a big thing. And the linebacking core, but I feel really great about this team right now. I know it was UT Chattanooga, and you can't take much away, but based on what we know also about this team, and hell, they went 9-4 last year without much of an offense. Mm-hmm. And I think we already know the offense is going to return back to about that level it was at in 22. So it's just it's exciting to be a Tennessee ball.
Yeah, it really is. Donald Payne chimes in. It says, weird we didn't see Matthews and Staley.
They're injured, right?
Matthews was nicked up, banged up. But to kind of go along with Austin was just saying, like, Matthews wasn't even out there. Like, insert him into the lineup. Like, that is a 5-star stud wide receiver. You saw it in the spring game. You saw how fast he was, how elusive he was, how easy he can get open. Like, that dude wasn't even out there. Plug that dude in or put him in the rotation. They're going to wear the defenses out. It's like this wide receiving core is so deep. I mean, you're not even talking about like Nimrod and all them. Like it's just so deep, and the rotation is so deep. Jordan Moore chimes in. We were talking about Joe Milton and Nico. Nico throws a more catchable ball than Milton did. That's why the receivers were dropping balls under Milton, because they just weren't catchable or they were too hard. People were like, well, everybody last year, these wide receivers, they got to catch these balls. They're failing the quarterback. No, the quarterback's failing them. I'm sorry. That's the honest truth, because no one's dropping balls when Nico's throwing to him because he's putting touch on it.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you're
not a billion miles per hour.
not just running or wide receiver depth. Look at your running backs, man. I thought Deshaun Bishop, it was like, well, he's good. He's a hometown kid. He'd be a good practice player. He looked good. Had he not tripped up, he would have scored that long drive in the first half. Yeah, it was first half because I rewatched all that. And then you go to the defensive side, man. Tyree West, I thought he killed the quarterback. I know, like it was probably hard to see if you're there in person, but on the TV, he hit that quarterback, and it looked like he snapped the quarterback's neck.
Yeah.
And again, I know it's UT Chattanooga, but I don't care if he hits Georgia's quarterback like that. He's going to hit him like that and hurt him like that.
Yeah.
It translates.
What's awesome about like the Tyree West and players like that, James Pierce is going to get doubled all year. I mean, James Pierce is going to get doubled the entire season. And so you're going to have players like that coming from the other side or players worried about James Pierce. And those dudes are going to come and they're going to, like you said, snap a dude's neck off, like blow his dude's head just like rocked like it 40 times, like back and forth when he hit him before he hit the ground.
Well, Johnson Joseph, look how good he looked. I think we're going to see like kind of like how Corey Vereen and Kurt Maggitt benefited to Derek Barnett being on the other side of the line. I think that's what's going to happen with them. And you're constantly going to rotate them out. You're just going to wear offenses out. Even on your defensive front seven, the rotation, man, we're going to have fresh guys in every down.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get to see this D-line at its full power for much. I mean, I think James Pierce played, 10 snaps?
10 snaps.
He played 10 snaps. I mean, that's basically one drive. So we haven't even seen this D-line when they really are in a real game. And, of course, it's Chattanooga. Here's another thing I want to point out. NC State played Western Carolina on Thursday night, and that game went down to the fourth quarter. That game was in doubt in the fourth quarter, and they were getting beat. Okay, sometimes you can play a game, it looks bad in week one, and it's not much. It may be a little overreaction from that. You may play a whole lot better next week. Like we struggled against App State, and then we went on to blow out Virginia Tech and beat Florida and Georgia in 16. But the thing about Western Carolina that really stood out for me, they were getting beat in the line of scrimmage against an FCS team. It was not just like a bunch of interceptions or just missed plays and stuff like that. It was legitimately just getting beat man to man, and that really, I don't think you fix that in a week. And I think this team might just punch NC State in the face in their own state. Yeah. I really have a feeling that game could be,
and that's one thing
shocking to some folks.
That's one thing I noticed too, Austin, is just they were getting pushed around, but also how slow NC State is on defense. Their defense is so slow. Like Tennessee could probably throw a bubble screen every single play in the entire game and beat them by 20. Like I think Tennessee is going to eat them up in space because NC State is so slow on defense. It's like one of those just Big Ten type defenses that are just slow. You saw what Nico did to Iowa last year, and Iowa was a top 5 defense in the country, quotations in the country, top 5. But you just saw the speed annihilate the slowness of Iowa, and NC State is very similar in speed. They're not fast, and an FCS school exposed them, and they're twice as small. They weren't even. You're right. They're pushing them around, Austin. The speed is going to be a big factor. I think Tennessee is just going to freaking run past them all day long. So,
kind of reminded me. I didn't get to watch much of the NC State game, but it kind of reminded me how Georgia State, when they beat us on the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, NC State had a better outcome than us, but Austin's right. You're not going to fix that in a day or in a week. I mean, and that quarterback, what is his name, Grayson McCall. Yeah. Like you had heard about him for all these years, and that's really the first time I watched him play. Dude, he does not have a strong arm whatsoever. Mm-mm. Like we can really cheat up and bring our safeties up on him.
He played an option style kind of at Coastal. Like it wasn't fully option, but it was like somewhat option style, like that Jamie Chadwell offense. I mean, he comes from an offense that kind of made more out of less, and now he's gonna put all the pressure on him to be great, and I just don't see that. Yeah, and okay, Jordan Moore chimes in. We were very vanilla on defense, didn't send much pressure, didn't stunt up front, didn't play a ton of zone in the back end. We didn't show much. Exactly. We probably showed about 20% of our playbook on both sides of the ball. yesterday because we didn't have to do anything. We just had to beat them straight up. We just had to go out there and line up, and we were too strong for them. But it was, you know what I love to see though? Like our team knew this. Our team knew we weren't going to have to do much, but they still played their ass off. Like you saw that right out of the gate. Like it was hard in hell. There was not really a fear of losing, but just the sheer fact that this team was like so ready to kill from the jump impressed me. Because I've seen, especially under Jamie Pruitt and coaches like that here, we come out in a game like this and we just have no want to on either side of the ball, and that it can be the thing that determines an outcome sometimes or makes those games weird. But this team, I mean, they didn't even scrimmage for I don't think 2 weeks before this game, and came out looking crisp as hell, looking not missing on any beat. It was just moving so fluid and so precise. This team, man, I think this team could really be great. I think 11. My prediction was 11 wins. Like I'm sound like a sunshine pumper there, but looking at the schedule, I don't see 2 losses. I'm sorry, I really don't. And what I saw on the field Saturday really confirmed my thinking. And it was just UTC, but I don't think we showed anything, and we look like killers.
Well, go ahead, Dr.
No, you go ahead because I'm probably gonna change the subject in a second.
Okay. Well, it goes. I say this all the daggum time. I'm an eyeball guy. I watch things and analyze them. I don't care about stats. I don't care about anything because Joe Milton had good stats last year, but it wasn't very good. Wasn't very effective. What I saw on Saturday was just the way they executed, how smoothly it went. They didn't even have to think. They just did. And it's like, it was just so smooth, so effortless. And it was just, Nico was such in command of the offense. And it's like, Nico is such a calm, like, personality, I guess you would say. When he's behind center, everyone else seems like they're calm. And it's just like, oh, we're better than you. Watch this. We're going to outrun you. We're going to outthrow you. We're going to outscore you. It's just such a good feeling when you see that chemistry. And what you said a million times, Austin, on this podcast already. Yeah, I know it's UT Chat, but the way it looked was the way it should look when a team is way better than you.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that from a Tennessee team to where it's just like, we are going to dominate you from start to finish because we are better than you. That's the smoothest I've ever seen this team look. I don't care who the opponent is. It was so crisp and so smooth. It was good. Good.
I'm kind of shocked you're not a stats guy, Rainey, because, I remember stats used to defend JG. Remember, he had a better completion percentage than Peyton Manning. I mean, I was sold on stats right there. But you're talking about the mindset, and it made me think of this with the Florida game after watching them. It was so hot Saturday. They could have easily just coasted and we're going to win regardless. But doesn't that kind of make you feel better about the Florida game this year? Because that team's defeated, man. They got blown out by their in-state rival. I think we could overwhelm them. Again, we say this every year because it's Florida, but you change the jerseys and you beat that team by 4 scores in Neyland?
Well, they keep getting worse and we keep getting better.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're going that way. We're going this way. And sooner or later, that's going to matter.
Well, and Billy Napier got lucky last year that we had Joe Milton at quarterback. We don't have Joe Milton at quarterback.
Yes.
Mays.
And that's my whole ordeal here with Florida this year is Nico doesn't care.
No,
you
he's
are.
So calm. Like
he doesn't care who you are. It's not going to intimidate him. It's just he brings such a different presence to the team, and it just makes us so much better.
Not that switch subjects, but my God, Florida looked bad. I mean, it was just there was nothing, no cohesiveness, no, there's nothing. I mean, they needed. I can't even remember the quarterback's name. But they needed him to put them on their back and just lead them, and he's clearly not fit to do that. It's just, man, Napier, he's done. And honestly, it's hilarious to think they fired Dan Mullen for him.
And then just think of how well that helps the whole team. They were talking about how imagine being Clemson's defense. You're out there first half playing good, but you got what is that guy's name? Clemson's quarterback?
Klubnik.
Klubnik.
Kate
Like,
Klubnik.
how defeating that's got to be to a defense knowing your quarterback can't do anything. So Nico's, and like Matt said, Nico's remark about keeping the foot on the throat was the winner of the weekend. I think that translates to the whole team knowing we're going to go out here and make a stop, and then we got a quarterback on the other end that's going to go down and score in 5 plays, and we're going to win this ball game.
Mhm.
And I think you can carry that mindset the whole year, no matter who you're playing. Because this team, a lot of these guys, they've beaten Bama, so that mindset's different anyway. But hopefully that'll help them with the whole Georgia thing, because we hadn't beat Georgia since, 16? So you got a little of that creeping in. But when you've got confidence in your quarterback, it carries on to the whole team, even with the coaching staff. Because they weren't confident in their quarterback last year. That was obvious by the play calling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think Nico really cares who's lining up on the other side.
I got a prediction on this season. You will not hear the phrase uttered one time, Golish was the reason the offense was so great in 2022. No one's going to say that anymore. It's not going to be a discussion point because it was irrelevant back in 2023. It's irrelevant now. Josh Heupel's the reason this offense is so great, and it's going to be even greater because he has, I think the most talented quarterback in the country. I think it's not even close. I mean, you saw people all around the country just losing their minds over Nico because if you just watch him, man. If you just watch this dude, I know it's Chattanooga. I know it's not a elite opponent, but just like Rainey has said, the eye test, it's holy crap, he's good. Like you just watch a guy and like. I don't think I've ever seen someone playing something that they're more born to do. It's like Dalton Connect on the floor in basketball. It's just he's flowing. It's not even like he's thinking. It's like it's just reactionary and it's just like natural. Like the game is moving slow for him. Kind of like how Eric Berry on defense felt like everything was moving slow for him. It feels like everything's moving slow for Nico. And in the way he throws, it's so direct. It's just he throws the best catchable ball.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, it's a great comparison.
It's just like because Eric Berry was that dude where he was just so calm and he just saw everything on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Nico sees everything and he pulls a trigger at the exact right time. Like that one throw over the middle where who was it that the receiver didn't catch it, but Nico
Squirrel, I think.
Was it Squirrel? I can't remember who the receiver was, but right over the middle, receiver dropped it. But
the Squirrel hit him in the hands.
Yeah, the placement of that ball was the most impressive throw all day because he was like triple teamed almost. Like he had 3 guys surrounding him, and Nico threw that ball at a high point where only his dude could touch the ball. And he dropped it, but that was the most impressive throw of the entire day. It was, I mean, it's unreal to see him sling that ball. And
it is.
God, does it remind you? Me and Austin were talking about this yesterday when we were watching the football game. His ball reminds me of what Tyler Bray's ball looked like when it came out of his hand.
That's a very good comparison.
He just slings it, and the ball is spinning so fast that it looks like it's spinning slow. Does that make sense? Like it's just Tyler Bray had.
It's a perfect ball.
Tyler Bray had that just quick flick of the wrist, and it's out. And Nico has that same just flick to where it is out, and it is there, and it's there at the perfect time and on time. So,
like when Nico got the NIL deal, $2 million a season or whatever, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, how are you paying that much for a quarterback? Oh, Tennessee should be ashamed, and they're ruining college sports." Look at the game now. We got Nico on the biggest bargain deal we could ever find.
Yeah.
I mean, to have a quarterback like that, you're just paying $2 million for when freaking you're paying $80 or $1 million for DJU to crap the bed in Ireland.
Who's Joe Milton 2.0?
Dude, he is Joe Milton 2.0.
He's got a really strong rocket arm. Like a buddy of mine, he's a Florida State fan. He's like, well, you got to put it on the coaches because they weren't allowing them to throw it down the field. I said, there's a reason why they're not allowing them.
Exactly. And that's
because they have no confidence in them.
Exactly. I don't know if he can win 8 games though.
He's lucky he's in the ACC.
Yeah. Well, we'll see after tonight. I mean, he already failed test 1 against a mediocre or worse opponent.
Georgia Tech beat them because they had the better quarterback, Haynes King. He looked good that day. And that running back looked good.
Georgia
All
Tech.
they, I mean, all
Georgia
they did
Tech.
was not turn it over.
Yeah. Well, and Georgia Tech pushed them around.
Hmm
They were more physical than Florida
They
State.
missed on some of those transfers. I think they got a lot of transfers on the D line, and it looks like they missed on a lot of them
Oh,
based
dude.
on week one.
Georgia Tech beat them on the line of scrimmage.
Well,
It was obvious.
And it's crazy because you saw Florida State come out and you saw them just march right down the field. They go for that 2-point conversion. You're like, they're about to blow the doors off them. And then they don't do anything much after that first drive. Guess who else couldn't do anything after the first drive? We've already mentioned it. Joe Milton. The scripted drive's fine. Well, once that is out of his mind and he's got to go do another drive, the comparison you just made, DR, him, DJU, and Milton are literally the same guy.
Because when they have to think, I don't know if they underthink or overthink, but they're not hitting the spot they're supposed to. It's what made Josh Dobbs such a good quarterback. He was an innovator. Like when the pocket collapses, he can make a play. Same with Hendon Hooker, two quarterbacks we've loved last 10 years. And Nico, he just stays so calm. I think he processes it so quick. He's like a supercomputer. He's like Austin with tweets. He's going to get the ball off. He's going to get that tweet off, and you don't have to worry about him.
Yeah, well, I like that comparison, Dr.
Yeah, you're Nico Twitter,
that's a good.
Well, you know who Nico is. I'm like popcorn.
Well. I mean, if stats did line up, Nico would be at 110 for 112 in passes if it was tweets. So that's a little different comparison.
Okay, let's change the subject here 1 second. Give me your biggest disappointment in the SEC this week, both of y'all.
The biggest disappointment?
Yeah, in the whole SEC.
Oh.
Okay, one little caveat: it can't be Florida because that's too easy.
South Carolina looked horrible.
They did look horrible.
They
Oh,
looked
my.
bad.
Did you see Nate, or what's his name, Beamer? He was in the interview and immediately turned away and just looked like a dead man walking.
Yeah.
Just
I don't know. I guess
so
you'd have to
screwed.
go with South Carolina, Austin. Like maybe, like we know Beamer sucks, but maybe the fan base who has just acted like Beamer is Nick Saban for the last 5 years, and they don't stay in the fourth quarter when it's a tie ball game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what a disappointment would be because I like seeing other SEC programs in flames.
I love it.
I was talking about that from like their perspective, you know.
Oh, it's got to be South Carolina.
Do you remember when every Tennessee fan was telling their fan base, this is the same stupid stuff Butch Jones did?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, it's not even the same. He might be worse than Butch Jones. He is worse than Butch Jones is. Like we were telling, it's like when fan bases tell us like what we're getting, you're like, oh, you're stupid. Like listen to fan bases. The only time it's ever been wrong is UCF fans with Josh Heupel. Like, oh, he can't recruit, he can't do this, blah blah blah. Well, yeah, he can.
They're still saying it too.
You remember when I'm guilty of it too. You remember when we all went after Aaron Murray for coming after Pruitt, and he was right.
Oh, he's
how about him being a hothead?
Mm-hmm. He said he's not. And who was it? AJ McCarron too.
Yeah.
Was it AJ McCarron or who was the other quarterback?
Pollock.
I can't. It doesn't matter. But
I know the story of him drunk on Mark Rick's lawn, throwing beer cans at his window. But good old cornbread. Don't you miss him? Not at all actually. But my favorite tweet from the night was a South Carolina fan that tweeted out, "Hell, maybe we did cheat in 2022."
Yeah, it makes me sick. Makes me sick.
Good,
Yeah, I mean, I'd be kind of coming around to that too because man, I've never seen a more pedestrian offense. But I'm going to point out big disappointment, honestly, in my opinion. I mean, they're still going to compete for whatever, but on the offensive side of the ball, LSU, man, that is. I kind of thought Garrett Nussmeier was going to be doing pretty good in that offense. You know, he's been sitting behind as a backup for about 3 seasons, and they really hyped him up all off season. He looked good in the bowl game, and it was just, I mean, they never clicked. I mean, and I don't think USC has figured out defense all of a sudden under Lincoln Riley, but man, they looked. The looks to Brian Kelly all night were absolutely to die for in the post game. Just like you see him
slammed his
slam
fist
the
on
table.
the table.
Yeah.
I want to change my answer, Austin. You saying that Texas A&M's quarterback play? I don't know if they'll win 6 games. He's awful, and I get Notre Dame's got a good defense, but he helped them look better by being that bad. He couldn't throw the ball.
God, he was bad. Like
He
he
sucks.
was so bad. And you look over, and the head coach is like, "Run the fucking ball!
Just
Run the ball! Just run
That's-
the ball!"
They got a long year ahead of them.
Ooh, buddy.
And it
How
does
is
make you
he so
appreciate
bad?
Nico even more.
Oh
Like
my
seeing all these
god!
teams with bad quarterback play. You're talking about Florida State, Texas A&M, all those guys at LSU. It's so nice to be on the other end. We've not been on the other
Mhm.
end for 15 years. Besides, Tyler Bray, he'd be remembered better had he been on a better team and a better coach. Josh Dobbs, and then Hooker, of course.
Yeah, Tyler
Yeah,
Bray would have been remembered if he didn't have to score 55 a game to win.
I will.
We should've
Heupel
won the
may
East
be
that year.
here. Heupel may be here another 15 years. I don't know, or 20. I don't freaking know. But I will tell you, I think that season last year will be the worst quarterback play we ever see under him, ever. Like I think that's the floor, and I'm surprised we had to go through one season like that under Heupel. But I'm happy it's over, and I'm happy as hell we got this quarterback right now, Nico Yamalava. And man, it's gonna be a fun season. I really think so. I think. I mean, they both played FCS teams, so it feels like a stupid prediction. But I felt like this could have happened before the season too. I think we're playing Ole Miss in Atlanta. That's my prediction.
I'm going to say this. Like, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I can see it coming. We go out. Nico throws 400 yards against NC State. It's going to be, they're ACC. Go out and do this against Oklahoma. And you think the hype is big now after Chattanooga? Like me, I don't know, Austin, I don't think I can take it because after beating Chattanooga, I am trying to take in all the articles, all the podcasts, everything. But go do this against Chattanooga, and God forbid, go put 400. Go have a Hendon Hooker performance against Bama.
Oh
And you can build a statue. And I can already see it. Like, I was pissed last year Milton was out there, but I'm so mad after 2 games with Nico. We had a whole season robbed. Because as good as he is, he's gone after next year. And you could have had him for 3 seasons.
Yeah. It's I will say I don't know. Would he beat Florida? I don't know. The old line was pretty awful that game.
Yeah.
So without Cooper Mays, so it's hard to say if that would have been a win. You know, you don't want to throw a guy into the fire like that just at so young, but that it does make you sit back and think. I mean, the record may not have been a lot different, but I think the offense things could have started to click, and maybe he'd be even better right now, which I don't think is possible. But
It would have been more fun. And
Yeah.
like if you went out and went 7-5 last year with a freshman quarterback, would that not have felt better knowing you're building up for the next year than going 8-4 with a quarterback that's leaving?
Yeah, the only rationale I've ever heard that made any sense is maybe Heupel didn't want to lose the locker room because Joe had been the leader there, but it didn't seem to be worth it at the time. It doesn't seem to be worth it now. But hell, that's the past. In the past, the past.
Oh yeah, I agree. Which I have trouble letting stuff go, so I'll be pissed about it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Also, so pissed.
Oh,
about
I went to the swamp to lose, man. I mean, I don't think I'm a Florida fan, but
I don't think I know. I mean, you just like you said, you went to the swamp. What'd you wear to that game?
I wore orange and got nearly assaulted. So
Orange and blue.
Blue.
Orange and blue. I've never been down there. A buddy of mine before, I guess it was before A&M and Missouri joined. He'd been to all the SEC venues, and he said Florida was the worst one because he got piss thrown all over him. So you had Florida fans attack you?
I had a guy like grab me by the neck and shake me at when they scored their first touchdown. I told him to get the fuck off me, and eventually, he didn't do that again. I mean, they're really assholes. I got flipped off more times in my entire life down there. They're different. I don't feel sorry for them one bit. And honestly, you know what's crazy? Watching that whole Miami game, them just beating the hell out of Florida in the swamp, all I can think is just like, how the hell can we don't do that?
I know.
It's just like, come on, man. I drove down there. Can we just do that some? It's the most BS thing. We got to like hide and cower to Florida fans, even though we might have had like better teams half the years and finished above them in the standings. It's so stupid. It's retarded. I'm so sick of it, man. We need to beat the living hell out of them in Neyland
That
this
would be
year.
glorious. I'd stay for an hour after it was over and beat them by about 3 scores. I don't think you're going to have a lot of Florida fans down there, though. I think they've already given up. Because I think they could have handled like barely getting beat Miami because they're so talented, but they got murdered at home, man. Like they want him gone.
Oh yeah. Do you see like the Miami players going up to the Florida visiting section,
Yes.
tell them don't play
Yeah.
here.
They went up to the recruits and were like, "Don't come here, don't come here."
And we've
Like,
been in that spot. It's miserable.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and I
Oh,
hope
yeah.
they go through for the next 15 years. I hope they
Do
just
you?
burn to the ground.
They're getting rid of Billy. I'm thinking that's pretty. I mean, they have to at this point. But man, I hope they don't go and hire like. I hope they
Alex
don't hire Lane
Golish.
Kiffin.
Alex Golish is I've heard his name thrown out there by Florida insiders.
You guys,
He might not be
guys-
ready for that.
no, I don't think he's ready for that. And Dawson knows where I'm going with that. But if you guys, I hate the man, but it scares me to death that they were to hire Eli Drinkwitz.
Why? What is your fascination?
I'm not
with him?
fascinated. Missouri's
You
a
are.
good ass team. How can you not?
They got
see
some
that?
good players.
Why is that? Why is that?
I think they have finally stepped up in IL wise, and especially
doesn't-
with that law they got in place. And I think they have hit on some news. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I think he's a fine coach. I think he's just
If he
fine.
goes to Florida, it scares me.
He lost his defense
Eli
coordinator and
Goes to Florida, it scares me.
Who scares you more, him or Lane Kiffin?
Lane
Skip-
Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin.
Kiffin
would scare-
scares me to death.
Kiffin would scare me, and so would Eli Drinkwitz. Because I think Eli
I'm
Drinkwitz.
obsessed with him.
No, I'm not. You're just you're in denial that he's a good coach. It's okay.
He's beaten us 1 out of 5 times
I know that you
and has had one
I know-
winning season. One
know-
winning season in 5 years.
I know you got.
And he didn't take over a bad situation. They were pretty consistent. They had 2
I
coaches
know,
for like 35 years.
I know you got your glasses and got contacts because people said you look like Eli Drinkwitz, but I know that's
I
why
grew
you
a
hate him so
mustache.
bad. And well, you had to grow that just to not look like him. But I hope he grows a mustache. That'd be hilarious.
Just-
But
I would die.
yeah, but
you know how petty he is with like screaming at student athletes, calling them names, being a little small little man he is. It wouldn't surprise me.
I just look at the product in the field, man. His teams are good. I don't care what you say. Like they're good. He's at Missouri. No one wants to go to Missouri. What's in Missouri? Nothing. Like if he went to Florida,
Louis.
that would scare me. Like if he went to Florida and he's recruiting like he is in Missouri, he's got the best player one of the best players in the country on his team.
I will say though,
Missouri.
a fan base that actually will get mad at him would tear him apart if things went bad. He is he cannot take
Sensitive.
criticism.
Yeah,
Very sensitive.
I agree with that. He is very sensitive. But Lane Kiffin
Like
and,
this place would kill him.
uh-huh.
This would be the worst place on earth for him.
I think they're a pretty good team.
Hell, May Clark Lee may be on the docket for Florida at this point.
I'd take that in a heartbeat.
One win over Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Let's hire him. Let's do it. Pull the trigger.
Talk about I will say that is unbelievable they actually won that game when you
I
really
know.
think about it.
There were some pundits, they had Virginia Tech in the playoffs this year.
I mean,
Wow.
yeah. Oh well,
Really?
you look at the ACC, it's them in Miami, I guess.
What in the hell would make you think that Virginia Tech is a playoff team?
Because it's ACC.
I mean,
They think they can win the ACC, which is not too crazy even after the loss to Vandy. I mean, Miami looks like the best team in that league. But man, the ACC is just kind of a joke.
can we talk about real quick?
Outside of Miami.
Let's just talk about Dabo and Clemson real quick. How big of a train wreck is that right now? I mean, you talk about winning national titles, and then you now just go down a hill of just disaster, and you're not going to get out of it. Like, and it's weird because Dabo did win you all those national titles, but now you're at a point where like, oh wow, this isn't good. Like
Games
Clemson-
passed them by.
Yes, Clemson is not
It's survival
ever
of the
going to come
fittest.
back. They're not going to ever
It's
come
adapt
back.
or die. It's adapt or die in this league, and he
Yep.
refuses to adapt. It's just
He's
I mean,
Philip Fulmer.
yeah. I don't think he'd. Well, apparently he won't pay players, so can't be too much like Fulmer. Yeah, they claim to have a top 5 roster, except they don't have a good quarterback. They don't have playmakers at receiver. They got nothing but. I mean, they got a good defense. They got a defense a lot of teams would love to have, but they will not match it anywhere on offense because he refuses to try anything different. He's running into a wall and just refuses to do anything to stop himself. He thinks if he's hard-headed enough, he'll eventually plow through this, and anybody knows that's not going to be the case. I've heard people throw him on the hot seat discussion. I don't think that is possible because, listen, like, if he's getting Clemson is contending for the ACC year in, year out, and for Clemson, that is a perfect place for Clemson football to be, in historically speaking. What Clemson did under him is something Clemson football was never honestly designed to do. Clemson was never supposed to be a superpower in this sport. That was never a thing. They never had a big enough donor base. They never had a big enough everything to be like an Alabama-like program. But somehow under Dabo Swinney and a lot of programs like Tennessee, not being that great at the time, kind of elevated their status and exceeded to points that they were never kind of supposed to do. And so overall, he's still overachieving at Clemson, in my opinion, even with his struggles. So I don't get the hot seat talk unless they just get really frustrated and forget who they are. And if they fire him, they'll be quickly reminded who they are, because he's not succeeding. But if you take him out and put in like a new coach and you let that portal, in nowadays, if you fire a coach, you got to really succumb to the portal losses and everything. I don't think it will be like I don't think that's the fix. I don't know what they should do, honestly. Dabo needs to adapt, but he's not gonna. So
I think the booster's going to go to him and tell him, like, you either get in the portal or you need to step down. And it'd probably be a press conference like Philip Fulmer. But I knew they were cooked before that game started. I mean, one, they're playing Georgia, but they were doing an interview with him on the field when the players warming up. And he said it's not about what's on the scoreboard at the end of the game. It's how they played. I was like, they're done. That's Butch Jones. That's champions of life in a different phrase.
Like
I can't believe he said it.
You're already submitting before the game even starts.
Yes.
That is nuts, man.
He knew they had no chance.
Like that's crazy. And what is even crazier is you look back at his rosters just like 5 years ago when they were going up against the rosters of Alabama, those dominant rosters, and they were beating them. And to see how bad his rosters have just fallen off, like you had wide receivers that are all in the NFL still right now from Clemson, quarterbacks that are still in the NFL from Clemson. Like, what happened? Like, how does you fall that bad that quick? Like, and it wasn't just like it wasn't a slow decline. It was a quick decline because Joe Milton beat you. Joe Milton beat you. Like, that is bad.
Yeah.
Like, you are on a massive just tank rolling down the side of a mountain decline. Like,
he doesn't have a good quarterback, and
No.
I mean, if you put like a Cam Ward, if you put a Nico Yamalava, if you put that guy on Clemson's roster and made him start at QB, I think they'd be pretty damn good, honestly, because they got a good defense, they got a good talent. I mean, the roster is on paper, just based on recruiting rankings, it is a top 5 roster. It is one of the best rosters in the country, but they lack playmakers though. They got some busts on that team, and they are not getting rid of them because they're not adapted. I don't know how they'd be a really good team like 5 years ago, but with how everyone's advanced in the game now, I don't think this is that good of a team, and they don't have a good quarterback.
Well, that's what's it's his pride, He doesn't want to go in the NIL. He doesn't want to go in the portal. What quarterback wouldn't want to go play for Clemson when you've got that defense backing you up? If they would get in the transfer portal, get a quarterback, get a few playmakers on offense, they'd be good. They would for sure be. I mean, I'm not saying they won't make the playoffs this year, but it'll be kind of like a James Madison. Whoever they play first round, they're going to get blown out. They're not going to be able to compete with other Big Ten and SEC schools that'll be in the playoffs.
Not really. I mean, it is Georgia they just played, so we got to preface that. But they scored 3 points.
Well, it's just again, it's the eyeball test. You watch them play, and like they look terrible.
Do you think it's a lot of they don't buy into Dabo anymore? Like, do you think their players just don't play hard for him? You think that's a factor?
It's got to be.
I think you're 100% correct, Austin, because Dabo's gotten to a point ever since that TikTok that he came out with of like Dabo's got the drip. Hickory
got that,
dickory,
Drew.
hickory dickory,
dickory,
dickory
dock.
dock, whatever. Mouse ran out the clock. Dabo's got that drip, blah blah, and he does the gloves. I mean, it's just so
He did the gritty in a pink suit.
so cringe. It's so cringe. Like players look at that and then they're just like, dude, that is the cringiest thing. And like it's not. It's almost like Shane Beamer. Just the cringe of the stuff he does.
Yeah.
It's so
How
bad.
the hell does he have 2 national titles? The 2 of the most impressive ones
But
ever.
He wasn't as
when you
cringy
consider the
before
roster
then.
talent.
He wasn't as cringy before then.
I think people bought into it. I feel like people bought into it more
because he was winning.
Yeah.
Like you don't care as long as you're winning.
Yeah.
Like like with Pruitt, the year he went 8-5 or whatever. We didn't care because he had a decent season. We couldn't look past the fact we didn't beat anybody.
He's a football coach.
And the football was boring. But as
He
long as they're
talks like
winning,
me.
like Beamer is a cuck, man. He's so cringe, but he beat Clemson and Tennessee to put him out of the playoffs, so they didn't care. Like, because I remember those comments when he'd make those videos, walking in the room, put the sunglasses on. I don't even remember who the old 90s rap song was. But South Carolina fans were defending him because he won in their minds. Like, it's funny how winning is relative. Like, 6-6 is good for Vandy. 6-6 for us, I'll be pissed. But as long as they're winning, they look past all that crap.
South Carolina would sacrifice the chicken for 6-6.
I just remember all the T-shirts, all the koozies. Beamer ball. It's Beamer ball. I'm like, what? Like, in what we mentioned earlier, it's just like we Tennessee fans, we see right through it. We see
Beamer ball
We've
is
been
cheating.
through it.
We've
been through it.
Beamer ball with Connor Stallions. Oh, whatever.
Yeah, it's just it's just nuts. Like you see right through it because, like you said, DR, we've been through it, and you see right through it. And when other fans are telling you, we've been through this before, you better listen because it's. And South Carolina fans are like, oh, you're just a hater. I'm like, no, this is literally we've seen it. This
what was my
deja vu?
You know what was honestly maybe the biggest shock of the whole weekend for me, and this has not been talked enough about, I don't think, is Oregon, man. They went down to the wire with Idaho.
That's
an
true.
FCS team. I mean, and Oregon's supposed to have Michigan, they started a walk-on and they're playing actually a pretty good Mountain West team. I mean, they're playing nothing essentially at Idaho, and they're playing UTC, and it went down to the fourth quarter where they needed to pull that last touchdown to make it happen, and they could not run the ball to save their life, and they're going to the Big Ten where all they do is run the ball. Like Dylan Gabriel actually, I think I heard, tied a record for completed passes in that game, but that was only because they absolutely had to, because they couldn't run the ball to save their life against Idaho. You couldn't run against Idaho? Oh, I mean, good Lord, you are screwed against Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan. I think USC, man, they might be them and Penn State probably look better than anyone in the Big Ten.
I never expected that out of you, Austin. But I mean, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Kept saying Idaho.
Idaho. You know.
One thing real quick, I do want to bring up. It's kind of just popped in my mind. Not Idaho, but
just one time.
Yeah, but no.
You like to have fun, the kibby down?
No, but you talk about. I want to kind of circle it back around to Nico real quick. You know how I know that Nico is a stud, a future superstar.
Greatest player in history time. What? Like what Michael Jordan is to basketball, right? I mean,
bitch, what? But when the comments and when they post the highlights of Nico on like SEC Network and ESPN, like, man, what a dart from Nico, and everyone's like, it's UT chat. That is the definition of people that are admitting that he's great, but they can't say it out loud. So they gotta bash him. You haven't seen that in years from anyone because Tennessee players, quarterbacks, previous years, they just kind of sucked and no one cares. But Tennessee's actually got a quarterback that is dangerous, and these people know it. And so they're like, oh, it's against a crappy team. But they watch with their eyes, and they're like, oh, shit.
Well, you're right. It's kind of like when Vandy beat Virginia Tech. You know what I said? Well, good for them. because they're not a factor. And you're right. That's how we were for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's look who it's Chattanooga. But again, I go back to the example. Milton wasn't making those throws against Austin Peay. And again, those fans that are hating, they didn't watch us against Austin Peay. They didn't watch us against Chattanooga. They didn't see it what all he was doing out there.
Yeah, just how intelligent he is.
Yeah,
This
under
offense.
center. It's
This is the offense that Heupel's wanted for a little while. Even in 2022, when we were having that amazing offense, he still wanted offense kind of more like this, where he had like dynamic playmakers at literally everywhere on the field and then some, and a quarterback that can get the ball everywhere. And I don't really have a big concern on offense. I guess the O-line could be a little better at times. Hurd was kind of out of breath at times, and
he's out of shape, dude. He's got a belly.
Well, he did come over from LSU. He wasn't exactly.
I didn't think Campbell looked that great either. I didn't think Campbell looked that great either.
No, I mean it's week 1, so hopefully those are kind of like, I mean they haven't been scrimmaging or nothing lately, so hopefully they're gonna get used to it by the time we get a real opponent in Oklahoma.
Just to continue with the drooling over our Polynesian prince, like look what Heupel did with, and again, you can't always go by ratings. I mean, shout out to J.J. Peterson. He was highly ranked, and I don't even know if he's real. But look what he did with Hendon Hooker, a 3-star transfer. And we had the greatest offense I'd ever seen in 2022. Now he's got the number 1 overall player, a 5-star. That he maybe at Oklahoma he had, but to mine, as a head coach, he's never had. Think about what he's going to do with that.
I'll never forget. You mentioned that. I'll never forget when UCF fans were still in my mentions and every Tennessee fans mentions about he can't recruit. And I'm like, well, he's doing a pretty good job of what he's got. He's like, yeah, because it's another coach's recruits. Wait till he gets his own guys in there. Well, he is. So it's like, it's you mentioned Austin with Hendon Hooker and stuff and Nico. Like, this is what Josh Heupel intended it to look like and to be. And he was winning with old Gump's recruits. He was winning with those guys, and the UCF fans are like, well, wait till those guys leave. That's why he's winning. No, it's pretty impressive that he was winning with those guys and with those dudes, because that wasn't even his style of offense. Those guys weren't even recruited for that style of offense. They were recruited for a completely different style of offense, and he took that and said, we're going to do this, and I'm going to make you this, and he did it. And you have Hendon Hooker, a 3-star transfer, like you said, Dior, a freaking backup Lions quarterback, and he's probably going to start someday for somebody. I don't know if it's going to be the Lions, but someone's going to need a quarterback, and they're going to come calling. And what Josh Heupel did with Hendon Hooker is unreal. And he had to talk Hendon Hooker probably to stay there. So that's recruiting again, right there.
And look what he did, not just his quarterback play, but I think a Princeton fan. You remember when we first recruited him? I think he was like a running back. And his last year with us, dude, he was incredible. He was fun to watch. It made me also mention Ethan Davis being the best tight end since Jason Witten made me think of that. Which I don't know. Is that true? Because I thought Michael Rivera was pretty damn good for us back in that Tyler Bray offense.
Ethan Wolf. I mean,
Ethan Wolf's pretty good.
I'm actually
again. Fant was good his last year with us.
I heard Doug Matthews said that on the radio.
Who was that one tight end we had? Oh my god, why can't I think of his name? Jeff Cottom. Was it Jeff Cottom?
The Cottom brothers. They were two brothers. They're both like 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah, Jeff Cottom.
Jeff and Brad Cottom.
Yeah. What was the one per that Dom Wood Sanderson?
That never did anything.
He was pretty good though.
Yeah, JG. So what are you gonna do?
Oh, that's true.
Like,
you know what's crazy?
A wide open throw to him in the Florida game.
The over/under win total for Vandy on the season was 2.5, and they play Alcorn State next week and Georgia State the week after. They could be on their. They could hit their Vegas over win total by week 3. Honestly, they might go to a bowl if you really think about it. I mean, well,
did you see the stat?
They get Vandy in Nashville. I mean, they get South Carolina in Nashville.
the stat on Vandy was them beating Virginia Tech ended a 61-game losing streak when they were down by 7 or more points at half. 61 straight games.
Holy cow! That's
They were
bad.
they were the only double-digit underdog to win this week, in the whole country. I think Clark Lee. You know what it is though? It's Jerry Kill. He got Jerry Kill on his staff, and they brought over that quarterback that he had at New Mexico State, the one they beat the hell out of Auburn with, and he made some smart moves. I mean, it ain't easy to win at Vandy, man. That's impressive as hell what he's doing. If he can get 6 wins, it's pretty freaking good, especially since some people had him on the hot seat. Next week, you got South Carolina at Kentucky. What do you think about that?
I think Kentucky beats them.
Oh, Kentucky's probably going to beat the brakes off them.
And I hope they do. I want Beamer fired as soon as possible. I hate him.
I don't like him. Who do they hire? Like, what's the move for South Carolina football?
They'll go after an old coach. They may throw the bank at Mac Brown. Who else?
78-year-old Mac Brown.
I've seen message board geniuses. They had a guy it was after Saban retired, said, "Go get Saban because look what we did." With Steve Spurrier and then the guy that talks to the list, Notre Dame's head coach. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Lou Holtz.
Lou Holtz.
Hey, both of them are still alive, so I'm on. You can go get Spurrier.
Mike
whatever.
Tyson a little bit.
They go get Fulmer.
He would take that in a heartbeat. I'm telling you right now. He is so bored. He wants something to do. I can just tell you. I hope they don't hire Jamie Chadwell. I hope he's smart enough not to take that job.
James Chadwell is the next big thing.
He would do well there. I can tell you that much. And he coached in the state of South Carolina for what, like 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I think I heard the AD there doesn't like him. I think because he was on the table when they hired Beamer. I think I heard the AD. I forget his name. The old baseball coach. He doesn't like.
Lee Corso.
Lee Corso, the Joe Biden of sports talk.
That's funny.
You know, Ben Nelson a while ago, he said Beamer ball. You know what's going to happen? Beamer's going to get hired as special teams coordinator at like Florida for Florida's next staff because that's something Kiffin would do just as a jab at us.
Be fair, he is good at special teams. That is one thing he's actually good at. That's what he should be doing. He shouldn't be a head coach.
We get several. Ethan Johnson says South Carolina might give Corso a call. I think Corso jokes are funny.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Oh my god!
That's all he would do. Dang. South Carolina, man. I don't know what the solution is there because I don't.
It's South Carolina at the end of the day. What have they ever done? Like their best days was under Spurrier.
That's the funny thing about them. It's like they're not the worst program, really. Though, like they have an 80,000 seat stadium, a big city. They're the state college of a talented state, but they have no history behind that. But they should have a better donor base than they did. They should have something better than even Ole Miss has. But
Austin, you're a little bit younger than me. Let me give you some little.
I know the history.
Yeah, but anytime you have a fan base, and I get it's 2024, and we went from June to year long, and you're chanting "Go Cox," you're never going to be serious at anything but parades in June. They're never going to do anything major. Right? Spurrier was the highlight of their program. That's it. At least with Clemson, you're talking about what Dabo's made them. At least with Clemson, they won a natty in 1980. South Carolina has nothing but a chicken.
They have a statue of a cock outside.
Yeah, they got a statue of a cock. You can't take a program seriously when they have a statue of a cock. They can't go cocks during the game.
That is a name that just needs to change, man. That someone in 1965 should have been like, you know what? That's becoming a little bit of a slur. How about we just change our name? Like they should have done that a long time ago. That's way worse than any Native American name. I don't give a damn what anyone says. Calling yourself the Cox. Yeah, I don't know the solution there really.
It's always
good.
It's always that Marquez North meme. It takes one hand to beat a cock.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best catches ever. I'll never forget that 13 game, man. I was there when Pilardi kicked that field goal.
Yeah.
Who was it? Justin Worley, man. Poor guy. His arm's about as strong as Grayson McCall's, but he threw that lame duck pass up and they caught it. And I'll never forget, that was the game that Clowney got ejected. The whole stadium was chanting "F-U Clowney." It was beautiful. It's one of my favorite games I've been in that stadium.
Yeah.
Oh,
Still can't believe he pulled that one out. Spurrier, why did Spurrier have a hard time beating Butch? That's the weirdest thing. Like, such a better coach than Butch, and yet, I don't know.
I don't know. Got it? Maybe quarterback play. I mean, Josh Heupel is a way better coach than Napier, and Napier beat us last year.
Beating us twice with Heupel.
Once.
No, just once. Yeah, because that was Mullen first year.
Matt Lane chimes in: USC versus USC Junior, Trojans versus Cox.
You know, and if USC had
a match made in heaven,
yeah, they could smother the Cox offense. They really had them wrapped up on that one.
Who's protected more? I don't know.
Oh my god, college football's in a weird place. Like, some teams, you just don't feel like they have any clue what they're doing, and the other teams are just like running full, like on all cylinders.
Full steam ahead. Yep.
Yeah.
It's like Ohio State. Did y'all see that rumor? Ohio State's roster this year cost $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
$20 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's like Tampa Bay raised their salary for the year.
well, I mean, they deserve it more, honestly. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I kind of think that's where college football's going, and it's not that great, but also I get it. It's the second most profitable league and profitable league in sports, in American sports. Like, the only thing that makes more money than college football is the NFL, and it makes sense. I mean, I'd pay for a national championship. I'd be cool with my school doing that.
Well,
give me a national title.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't care if you pay $70 million. Give us a national title. I mean, I saw the freaking Mets pay two 40-year-old pitchers $45 million each to get injured in June. It was It was beautiful.
Well, no different than when Auburn won it with Cam Newton. They essentially bought a national championship when they got Cam Newton.
Those players are more expensive now, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I'm just saying, well, you got inflation.
Yeah.
The economy's so good. But it's something that's been going on. It's just been more accelerated and in your face now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, now you have walk-ons getting money.
Well, it used to be kind of like you used to be able to hand them money on the table, and you buy a 5-star top 10 player for $50K. Now it's $5 million. Like, it's a big difference now that it's legalized. It's really, when there's an even playing field, man, it can get kind of crazy. But I heard the other day we have the second best NIL in the country, so I'm kind of happy with that. I'm happy we're finally doing what it takes to win, because
Danny White is doing everything in his power to bring winning here, and it's already happened. I mean, it's already showed since he's been here. But people can get pissed off all they want to. There's a logo in the middle of the field. I don't care.
I don't get that being mad about that.
It didn't look bad. It really didn't look bad. I thought it looked worse. It looks fine.
It just kills me. Those people that are like, oh my god, no, we're changing everything. Do you want to lose? Because I don't want to lose. I'm tired.
Everybody in the country will have one of those, and we were just one of the early ones to do it. We jumped on it.
He jumped on it.
Jumped on it first.
He knows where it's going. He knows exactly where it's going.
You want to win. I don't care. You can put logos on everything. Now, I will say, if they ever change the stadium name, Neyland Stadium, I'll be mad about that. But do you want to be like Dabo, falling behind with the times? There has been.
What's so great about the deal he got with Pilot is that was a 20-year deal, and they don't touch the name, really. No, that was a hell of a deal. Like, it's 20 years, and they're going to keep this deal. We're going to stay Neyland Stadium for the next 20 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, for where things are going, I'll sign up for that.
It's never going to change. It's never going to change. No one's touching Neyland's name. This place would riot if they touch it. And Danny's not stupid. Danny White is not dumb. He's pretty damn smart. If you pay attention.
This is random, but I'm so sick of gray uniforms. I like them when they showed them off, and like when they were before the game. But like when you watch the game, you're just like, I wish you were just wearing orange.
I didn't like those. I'm not a big uniform guy as it is, but I wasn't a fan of those. I'm glad we did it against Chattanooga and got it over with.
That's what me and Austin said the other day. Like, we're glad it was early and it's done. It's over.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
But we had the blackout game against Kentucky, so we'll probably wear the dark mode.
I like the dark modes. Those look badass at night.
Yeah,
Like it's a perfect.
it hits a little bit
theme.
different.
And if you could do it on around Halloween, it'd be so. It's always so badass.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you're just coming in cold blooded, about to kill somebody.
Yeah. All right. So this week, what are y'all's final scores for NC State, Tennessee? Let's wrap it up with this. What you got?
I think we're blowing them out, guys. I really do. I'm going to go 42-17. And I'm a negative ball. I am a negative person. I got an argument with a sheep on Twitter that really attacked the channel brand, but I feel good about it. I don't think NC State's that good. They're an ACC school, and Nico's talked about how he likes playing on the road. Granted, it's a neutral site game, but I think we're going to go out under the lights and ball out. And it's never going to be close.
Yeah.
I got Tennessee 49, NC State 20. I just think it's going to be, and we're going to go up by maybe 35 points at one point. I think it's not going to be a game. It's really going to be drastic how big the talent difference. It's going to look a lot like that Virginia game last year, except the offense will be better.
Yeah.
Ooh,
that's
not a bad comparison.
I'm going to go 47-10 Tennessee. I think NC State's too slow. I mean, their speed is going to really start to show. Tennessee is just going to outrun them all day long. Tennessee speed is just too much. So,
okay. So 4 field goals. I was like, how do we get 47? I guess 4 field goals.
I mean, like compared to Virginia, I guess they'll be better than Virginia, but I think we'll be a lot better than last year. So I guess that evens out.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see this week. But anyway, first midday podcast we've ever had, Labor Day podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fun. I had a blast. Football's back, baby.
That's why I texted you, Rainey. I was like, man, I want to get on. I got to talk about it. It's just, It's so fun. And it's so fun you have a chance. It's not like in the past. Like, it's so funny, like, making your record predictions. I could see 11-1, but 9-3 possibility. I remember back in the day, like, if we're good enough, we could go 7-5.
Mm-hmm.
Think how miserable that was.
Yeah. Vol Tweeter says, I thought Rainey was Will Muschamp for a hot second. I can kind of see it. Austin put on glasses. He looks like Eli Drinkwitz. So we got a.
He just looks like Eugene Levy right now.
It's got 3 eyebrows. All right. Well, we will do it again next week after NC State, and we will see if our predictions come to fruition. But good night. God bless. Actually, good afternoon. God bless and go Vols. We will do it again next week. Peace out, my friends. Bye-bye.